so much that goes into that you got to install it and get it started, and yet you're bringing the younger players along. I like how we're staying off the ground, and I like how we're practicing with each other. Any questions?
With those younger players, when you watch them in red zone in 2 minutes, what do you want to see from them at this process?
Well, chances are we're seeing details right away that we can clean up. You know, it's like a race to get, then we can put on a cut up of a play and say, hey, this is really what I want it to look like. So I can't think of a rep where offensively and defensively the young guys are out there where there isn't something that you want to be addressing.
Coach, now with JK here, do you feel like this will bring to this backfield? What do you
Look, I said it before. I said, and it was a week ago, another good football player. And we're interested in those guys. And so we'll see how it unfolds. No set roles yet. We feel like we know who the player is well. Say it again.
What can he add off the field as well with locker room experience he brings in?
Yeah, look, we'll handle all that. You know, in other words, we're interested in what he can do on the field. One thing about the NFL locker room, it hadn't changed, and it never will. All right? Come on in. If you can help us win, we want you here. And if you can't, all right, we probably want you to leave. And I'm talking from a player's perspective.
Can you pinpoint some of the attributes you like about Dobbins as a player?
Yeah, I think he's got good running balance and instincts.
Because you've been able to lean into the draft and be so successful the last few years, has that allowed you to be more strategic with a signing like this? And the way
A little bit. Look, the draft is the lifeblood of what we do. And I can look back from my own experience and look, man, wet behind the ears in 06, and we hit a draft out of the park. That was the foundation of about 6 playoff teams, 1 Super Bowl team. And then the team cycled through almost entirely except the QB and the punter. And then in 17, we have another draft that was the foundation in four straight division. And so it's vital we draft well.
Sean, we're talking to your coordinators today, and obviously you've been with Riz for a long time. Right. So with that, how has Riz assimilated with all these new guys in this?
Oh, he's doing great. Riz is coached in this league. He's a pro. And I would say one of the things that, and these guys know it from me, I value compatibility. It's as important as coaching ability. I don't want problems. I don't want headaches. You know, we manage a team. I don't want to manage a coaching staff. And it's important there's a cohesiveness amongst those guys. And Darren's been exceptional when we had him in New Orleans. And all these guys have dreams and aspirations. And honestly, I want to see them. You know, I like watching Campbell and seeing Aaron Glenn get hired, and that pleases me. And so I'm glad we got him.
Sean, confirming you are practicing tomorrow, right?
Yeah. What's the confirmation? Like, well, no, there's no sugar days. The sugar days went away in 2011.
Not here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your buddy Fangio had a few.
No, I got it.
When you drafted Pat.
Tomorrow's the salt day. No sugar. Atwater, what's going on with this group? I mean, I'm telling you what.
Never done.
Huh?
When you drafted Pat Bryant, you talked about his explosiveness off the line in his hands. Have you seen that translate so far out here with you?
Absolutely. Little things we're coaching up, but you like what you see? I like what I see. And so he's tough. And look, there's things, you know, where he's catching one like this. You know, there's things that you're immediately on these guys, and that's good to great. Like that's That's coaching. But interview them, be around them. It's so important to them. And I would say that's probably the case with so many of these young guys. I mean, it's not like an accident. There's a profile we're looking for. And it's not easy always. Sometimes that requires more trips and visits, but we're looking for a certain profile.
There are a lot of metrics that suggest that J.K. was one of the most explosive running backs in the NFL last year. What gives a running back the ability to be so explosive? What are some traits?
Yeah, so we've got the little things in the pads, and that's good for the production booth, 22 miles an hour, but you want to see when a play's blocked, you want to see that yardage and some. You know, the good runners, they have a little spaghetti sauce to the recipe that's important. And I don't want to make comparisons to him because I haven't been with him long enough. But when you see the consistency, it's not an accident. And so it's another, and I say this, it's another good football player we're adding to our team. And then we'll see how training camp goes, see how all the carries goes. And you know what? When that time comes, you guys are going to know just like I'm going to know. You're going to see it.
So, Lou Ianni, to your staff, your first year here, what was appealing about his background?
Who?
Lou Ianni. And how much did...
So I didn't know Lou, but I knew Lou. I knew a guy Lou played for who's no longer alive. So I had some familiarity with Lou and then some strong recommendations. I really liked the interview, and it was a really good hire. But there's that little Northwestern tribe that we have here. We got a Utah tribe, we got a Texas tribe, but it helps if there's a strong relationship, just like Leonard talking to me about Bryant. Like that's really, really important information that if I was just going based on the film, you know, it's more difficult. So, but Luke came recommended from Zach, from Austin, the late Randy Walker, so there were some ties.
Go back to OTAs, you mentioned a couple of the tryout guys, making the not joining you.
We're going to meet today. How they doing?
Tyrese White, among all of the young receivers that you have, this undrafted group, what have you just sort of made of the work that he and that have done?
Well, I think he's gotten better. Like, there's been some flashes. We'll meet today, and we're really managing 91 with the international player, right? So if one comes in, someone's got to go out. But if they're out here, we're evaluating them. We're looking closely, and we're trying to figure out what do they do well. It's easy to say what they can't do, but how can they help us?
Sean, your first 3 draft picks were all-team captains. You talked about character stuff. Is that high on the list?
I didn't know that they were all 3 captains, but I knew the makeup, and so that doesn't surprise me. But I didn't know that they were all 3 captains.
How's R.J. Harvey doing in terms of his receiving skills?
Good. Yeah.
Has it surprised you at all, or
No, he's doing well. He's doing well. We haven't given him his Joker wings or any of that yet, but he's doing well.
What are you looking for from Luke Wattenberg in terms of him advancing the second year to start?
He did a really good job coming in year 1, and I think you're going to see an ascension. And he's exceptionally smart. I like his frame. He loves football. So I think that first year, full-time starting, is going to benefit him. greatly.
Coach, obviously the tight end room, everyone's been talking about Evan, but some of those other guys like Troutman, they've been kind of flying under the radar. Your thoughts on how that room has been doing despite the new addition there?
Yeah, there's a few new additions. You know, we see Evan, and there's a handful of guys. That'll work itself out. A little bit harder sometimes for them. They're not in pads, and some of what you need them to do requires pads. So maybe it's a little bit more in the passing game that you get to see him. One more.
On Pat, you talked about.
Say it again.
On Pat Bryant, you talked about the profile you guys are looking for. This guy has a lot of confidence. What did you just see in interview rooms, with him?
I like bigger receivers. He's good at the line of scrimmage. And I would say he's got exceptional strong hands in traffic. So it's not that I don't like smaller receivers. I do. But the bigger receivers that can block and are physical at the line of scrimmage, he showed those traits. All right, thank you. Get 3 questions a week for a young guy.